Hey, my beautiful followers. How are you all doing this morning? I just got here to my office, got here a few minutes early so I could do a couple things, one of which being talk to you beautiful people. It's actually not going to be my office for very much longer. There's like some nostalgia kind of going into that. I am moving my office into a bigger, better space. So we can expand into some other practices and actually re-expand into some old practices. I'm incredibly excited, but only this is like the last week in this office. Sad day, sad day. But good days. I have such amazing memories in this office. But anyway, so this week especially, and the last definitely a few weeks, but especially the last week, I've been talking to many clients and getting lots of journal entries and them coming to me and they're like, okay, I'm doing my work. Here's my journal entries. Here's the stuff that I'm working on. Let's really dig into this. And I'm like, beautiful. That is beautiful. I love when I get clients that are excited about really doing their work and they're doing their journaling. And then I start reading their journal exercises, or they start talking to me about their growth and their expansion, and they get so much in their heads. So things like, what would my ideal life be? They get really wrapped up into the hows, the nitty gritties, the very headiness of the situation instead of the feels of the situation. Really getting into, no, this would feel good. It would feel good to have this life. It would feel good. That turns me on. That excites me. But I especially see this, obviously, in the manifestation. People want to get into the hows. How am I going to make that happen? What am I going to do? What action steps am I going to take? Which, let's be honest, there is a time and a place for putting some plans of action into order. If you have no plan and you want to grow, that can be quite problematic. Though, I see this more often when we're dealing with things from the past, like belief systems, things like that. And I get a lot of clients. I'm thinking of one particularly that I read their journal exercise, and they were they got into a belief system that they have, and they're, instead of just going, I feel sad, they had to go, I feel sad because 10 years ago this happened and then this happened, and they almost pull their own vibe down even more. They can't just be sad. They can't just be happy. And that is what I want to really bring to y'all's attention today. A lot of times as we get older, we like to intellectualize and come up with reasons and rationale and all of this. And as somebody who's a tantric practitioner, it is so often that people will have these emotions, have this energy, and they want to tie it to something. And sometimes there's nothing to tie it to. Obviously it came from somewhere. Obviously it's being stirred from a place, but sometimes just experiencing it is all we need to do. I think back probably about a month ago, I was doing some of my own release work, and I looked at a friend and I said, I just feel sad. And I have no reason to feel sad right now. I just did all this work though, and I just feel sad, and I'm not going to try to attach it to anything. There is nothing to attach. It's just energy moving through me. And we like to come up with all the reasons, all the excuses, all the rationale for our feelings, for our emotions. We want to tie our belief systems back to when we were 10, and we want to talk about how our mother always said this to us, which, yes, there is some healing in that work, but not as much as we often tend to think there is. A lot of times we want to intellectualize instead of feeling it, instead of being there, instead of really getting into it. And I used to be one of those people who would journal, and I still sometimes do it, and I'll catch myself. And actually that's why I thought to do this today is because I caught myself really intellectualizing in my journal. I was just doing some writing, and I noticed myself really getting into my head about this thing I'm trying to manifest, instead of just feeling into it, really seeing it, experiencing it and kind of tasting it. Instead, I was getting into the how-tos, the what can I do's, all of that, and that is very heady. That was no, I was trying to manifest. It wasn't, me trying to make a plan. And I am total Virgo here. I definitely am that planner, that person who does like to have things in order. But there are times when we just need to dive deep. We just need to feel the feelings, especially when we're doing journaling work, guys. Especially when we're doing that journaling work, I think as adults, it's oftentimes, I see kids and it's like, well, a kid could be crying and you're like, why are you crying? Well, I feel sad. And that's it. They're just like, I feel sad. Or I feel really happy. They don't have to make up this huge story. They're just like, no, I feel happy. If you read a child's journal, somebody who's like 8, usually they're not like breaking it all down. They're like, no, like, I'm sad, I'm happy, today was a good day. They're just going with the flow of the day, going with the flow of the energy. They're not having to get into all of that nitty gritty. And we do this a lot when we're trying to kind of pull in our dreams. We like to, it's all our ego, really. It really comes down to our ego of like, I can't get that because of this, because of that, because of that, because of that. I had one person this week, I asked them about shame. Shame came up and I was like, well, is that your shame or is that somebody else's shame? Where's the shame coming from? And we did go into a little bit of a discussion, but it became very intellectualized, very out here instead of like, well, no, let's get very present in the moment and just go, okay, like, I don't care what happened 10 years ago. I don't care what happened, 5 minutes ago, truthfully. What are you feeling right now? And yes, I don't want to, I think sometimes when we get into very spiritual places, we tend to dismiss our foundations of the past, which isn't what I want to do. As somebody who first was a therapist, I do see that our past does create our foundations for our now. However, our now creates our foundations for the future. And so it is making different choices now. And so when we get into those places, it is like, okay, well, what is this shame? Like, tuning into it now, not tuning into it from past, not intellectualizing and not going, Dr. Phil said, or, we tend to want to make it harder than it is, and it stops our growth. It really does. It breaks down our growth. It keeps us from expanding out when we get too much into the headiness of it. It's beautiful. I love books. I love learning. That is amazing. But in truth, our growth comes from some of the simplest things. Meditation and quieting the mind, just quieting our minds, getting in tune with ourselves, really breathing into our core. Those things, journaling out, just our true, like, stream of consciousness, journaling, getting in touch with self, getting in touch with God or spirit or source or whatever you want to call it. That doesn't matter to me. I don't get hung up in that crap. What you call your higher power is not my business. But that is where the real expansion comes. Yes, you can include all these techniques. You can include all of these really cool ideas and perspectives and philosophies, and that will expand you. Yes, you can grow, and there are some beautiful pieces to that. But at the end of the day, they all come back to just tuning into self, which is simple. It's simple. When we intellectualize, that's not simple. That's making it complex. And so when you're journaling, when you are trying to look at your inner stuff, your belief systems, all of that, I want you this week particularly to really think about, if you could not explain it to a 5-year-old, then it's probably too difficult. You're probably intellectualizing it too much. You're probably trying to go too far out there. So if you're trying to break down a belief system you have and a 5-year-old couldn't understand your explanation, then it's too complex. Then you are getting way too much in your head. If you're writing a journal entry this week and you're writing it, not definitely, like, obviously manifestation, you want to make it very, very clear and feeling oriented. But if you're doing any journal entries, I really want you to, and I have tons of, if you can look through my site, I have tons of journal questions. I actually have a whole course, Naked in Every Way. It is a full journal program. I love it. It's got 44 journal prompts in it. It's amazing. And then how to journal and how to journal deeply and the different kinds of journaling. I'm a journal junkie. I love journaling. I'm definitely a journal junkie. But if you're doing these journal prompts and if you read it to a 5-year-old and they went, huh? Like, then it's probably too complex. You're probably not tuning into your inner self. You're probably trying to make it all like way up here and not really connecting to self. Really not connecting to self. You're probably trying to make it too hard for you to move through. And that's a lot of times what we're trying to do. We try to make it so complex in our own heads that we can't move through it. It is a way of our egos blocking us from our growth. So don't block your growth through your ego, through trying to intellectualize, through trying to make it so hard. Try to keep it simple. Most things in our lives are much simpler than we as adults, as grown people, try to make them. So go just tune into yourself, breathe, quiet your mind, and just be amazed at the beauty and the power that can provide you, and get out of the intellectualizing game that so many of us want to fall in our growth. So, okay, guys, I'm going to go see some amazing clients and spend the last few days in my office, in my office space before we find a new office space. So, okay, guys, I will see you soon. You can, if you want more information on my coaching, you can find that at addisonbell.net. I do in-person, online, video coaching. There is a program for everyone. So reach out. And other than that, I hope you guys have a beautiful and blessed day. Love you guys. Bye.